Taping in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I had somebody ask me about the Lightening stitch regulator and the screen and how it works. So I'm going to run through a few things and show you how it works. So this little button right here, all of these control different functions. This round one here controls whether we have a regulated stitch, which is what it's pointing at right now with the little blue button, or if I click here, I have a manual stitch, and if you look up here, it will say the speed that manual stitch will be going. If I want to increase that, if I push, can you see, look at my finger? If I push the green button and hold it, that will go up. And if I push the white button on the left and hold it, that will go down. I can do that while I'm stitching or while it's stopped, and it will change the speed of my manual stitch. It doesn't do that when I'm not in manual mode. The third choice here is E-quarter, and it doesn't have any effect on your machine if you don't have the E-quarter or the sequencer attachment on there. It will not work right, so you need to get it back to regulated or manual, and you push that and it'll go to the next one, next one, next one. So just go around in the circle until you're in the mode you want to be in. That's that button. Right here we have sensitivity, and that is the sensitivity that your stitch regulator has as you're stitching. It comes in at the default, which is right there, and if you like to, you can slide that up and have higher sensitivity. It makes a different noise. When I'm doing my micro stippling and I have my stitch length set really short, I turn that up, and normally whatever it comes in at, the default, works very nicely. So that's that sensitivity button. Pickup, watch down here, you can see it will make my machine do one stitch. One stitch is so that you can pick up your bobbin thread when you start. Jog, it's gonna take us a little fraction of a step through our stitching process, and that's what jog does. So if your needle was all the way up or all the way down or part way up, it'll just go through that stitch a little bit more. Tie off, when you push that, it will do however many stitches you have it programmed to do, and you program that in the next screen I will show you in just a minute. So that's tie off. You can see this little R. When you push the R, it will reset the amount of thread on your bobbin to 100%. So I pushed the R. Now it says my bobbin has 100%. That percentage will go down as I stitch. And in the next screen, you set how many yards will fit on one bobbin. And if you have that set correctly, then this percentage is pretty close to what you have left. If you have it set for, you have 500 yards on a bobbin, which is way too much. A bobbin doesn't hold that much. And then you put King Tut, which is really thick, on a bobbin, you're probably only going to get 80 yards on there. So it's going to run out, and it's still going to read here that you have 80% left. So that has to be, you have to figure out how many yards by process of elimination and trying it on the next screen, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now tie off, I'm sorry, I pushed that already. Stitch length, or stitches per inch. You touch where the number is, and this little screen opens up. I want this to be 11 stitches per inch. I can see the 11 here. I say enter, and I now have 11 stitches per inch. A minute ago I had 12. That's how all those things on that screen work. Now I'm going to go to setup, and it will open another screen, and here is where you enter in your bobbin length depending on what kind of thread you use. A lot of times we use So Fine, and I think it has about 120 yards. So I'm going to say enter. There you go. Manual speed. I set it, I raised it and lowered it with my push buttons, but I can also do that here. If I want my manual speed to be 100, which is extremely slow, I would set it there. Now start speed is the speed the machine will go when you push the start button. Now, if it's at 0 and it's in regulated stitch, the start speed only has an effect on the regulated stitch. If you wanted your machine to have a hovering speed, like it's always going when you push the green button, but it goes faster when you go faster and slower when you go slower, but doesn't stop, it'll come down to this start speed. I always keep mine at 0. When I stop, I want it to stop. Some people have different opinions, and they have it at 100 or something, but I like to keep it at 0, and I think that's what ABM recommends. The encoder diameter is the size of your wheels that run your stitch regulator. Don't change that, or you'll get an incorrect reading from your stitch regulator unless you're instructed to by someone at ABM on the tech line. Tie-offs, you remember on the previous screen, when I pushed tie off, it did 3 stitches because it's programmed to do 3. I can program that to do more if I want to. Say I want to do 5. There we go. Now it is set to do 5. Now thread break sensitivity, what that is how many stitches will it take before my thread break sensor sounds the alarm. Now, this only works if you have a thread break sensor. If you don't have a thread break sensor, you would set this at 0. But I do have a thread break sensor, and we've found that if we have it set lower than 4, sometimes we get false thread breaks. And if we have it set higher, it doesn't sound the alarm soon enough. So we like running it at 4. You may find something different. There's certainly not just one way to do it. Now, the last part here is needle position. I have it set in the up position. If I wanted it set in the down position, I'd do that. Now, this machine has autopilot running, and so if you have autopilot running, you must have it in the up position. When I freehand, I usually like to have it in the down position, so it sure is nice to be able to change that easily. Now, home will take me back to the screen that you've seen before. Oh, and this took me to the jog feature, and I don't mess with this unless my ABM technician tells me to. What this is it sets how high my take-up lever will come up to during the stitch at the point where it stops. And I already have mine set right, so I don't need to change anything. So I'm just going to say previous. It's going to take me back to my home screen here. And I hope you have learned what all of those things mean.